Start with Lori Peretti.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm going to start with the first line, 7020 Community Programs Admin. The only change in that was for supplies and materials when we decreased it by $500. Just trying to cut costs where we could. Next section is Community Center. The only change is the 2,000 line for equipment and capital outlay. There we reduced it by 1,000 as well. Okay, next page. 7180 Town Pool. I did have a question about the 2,000 line for the equipment and capital outlay. We do use that line if we have problems with furniture, need to order furniture, umbrellas, things that break from year to year. So, and not to have any money,
Okay.
we'd have to draw from another line. So if we could go back to 2,000?
It's up to the council and the supervisor. I mean, we can, if it's decided, yes, then, we can definitely add it to the prelim budget.
Okay,
So we can make a note.
okay, great.
Lori, can you say that again? Can you go over that again?
Yeah, for the equipment and capital outlay.
It's me. Oh, it's Rose.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's right. You know.
Right after me.
Yeah.
I know,
It's
Yeah.
hard to hear. We use that line for us in the beginning of the year.
Tell me the line again. Sorry.
The 2,000 line for equipment and capital outlay for the town pool.
Okay.
Because occasionally, often we'll have to replace lounge chairs, umbrellas.
Right. Isn't that what we were doing this year? Didn't we have to spend a couple of $1,000s on new
Yeah,
chairs?
so what
right?
we did this year is we took any money that we had left over and we were replacing 2 of the lifeguard chairs.
Great.
So, yeah, but we do need it. And then if we have issues that arise before the pool is open, before it gets inspected, that's the line we draw it from.
Okay. Thank you.
You see that she
Thanks.
gives those other papers. She wants us to work from those other papers. Yeah.
Well, I like to look at,
I know.
I like to look at my original budget.
I know.
Oh, I'm
She knows
sorry.
that she's
Do you want me
very
to go back to
concerned
that
about
one?
it, but
Do you want me to go back to the original one?
You're fine, go ahead.
Okay. The next 7182 is the swim team. There was no change in that. 7185 driving range. There was just a change in miscellaneous and contractual. I was able to shave off $900, and now the new line is 1,000. 7311 youth rec fall soccer.
Lori, can we go back to the personal services there in driving range? We had sort of increased that from 19 to 2020, and we kept that at 21. Is that number, to your knowledge, is that reflective of what needs to be there?
There were no increases for part-time or appointed officials?
Yes or no?
The mic wasn't on.
I can speak, there were no increases for part-time or appointed officials in the tentative budget
Mm-hmm.
directed by the supervisor. So all the part-time lines remain flat. Unless somebody just wasn't making minimum wage. I believe this gentleman is.
Yeah, just a bit over, yeah.
He's just a bit over here.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jan.
okay,
You're
great.
welcome.
Youth rec soccer, 7311. For the equipment and capital, equipment line, I just decreased it to 250 in order to save money. Youth rec spring, there were no changes. Youth rec playground, there was only one change. The miscellaneous contractual, I took it down $1,000 because I thought we could still stay within our budget.
Now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. You were first. You were.
So I got a few questions, like we had COVID and some of the programs did not take place. right?
Jen.
Great minds think alike.
So are we saving any money, Lori?
Huh? I wouldn't say, I haven't looked at the numbers from that ended for this year,
Okay.
but we definitely did save money because we paid a lot less in staff.
Mhm.
But we didn't take in as much money because we didn't take as many campers.
Got it.
So usually these programs are about a wash.
This one, not so much, the playground, because in order to keep it affordable for parents, we have to kind of, I don't want to say take a loss, but we're always a little in the red, but fall soccer well makes up for it.
Right, so this is the playground, but I mean, spring soccer, fall, so there's others in there that are pretty much evened out.
Exactly. Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. Bill, also in the 2021 revenues, we have matched expenses, Lori's expenses with the revenues to make sure that they offset each other. So
Okay.
if she expends, then it means she's bringing more revenue. And she better be doing it.
I will.
I'm just
I'm on
kidding.
it. Doing the best.
No pressure.
Right, yeah, right. Okay, for 7319, oh, Denise, I'm sorry, did you have a question or was that the same one?
It was the
The
same.
same one, okay. Youth rec contractual programs, there was just a few changes. Lacrosse, I brought down from 11 to 7,000, only because any things that I brought down a little, I thought it was in keeping with the numbers from last year, not this year, because this year was an odd year. These are more realistic. Arts and crafts, down from 5,000 to 1,000. Field hockey, from 4,500 to 3,000. And, whoops, youth, oh, I'm sorry, that was golf. And field hockey from 7,700 to 2,500. For community events, which is 7,550, I can only speak to the fall fun run. And it looks like it's bumped up $500. I cannot remember why I did that. Had to be because of,
Yeah, you asked,
I
and I
think
did
for
put a
some-
note there, but I don't know. what
yeah,
those were.
must have been something from the current year.
Yeah, it was only 500, so.
Yeah, I mean, and we will make up for it in that line. Okay. For 7610 on the next line, or next page, senior recreation, there are a few changes. Let's see. Supplies and materials went from 2,800 to 2,500. The meal program, we have from 9,000 to 10,000. But I believe that's going to be changed. I looked at those numbers that I was given in that sheet, and it doesn't really make sense.
I saw like a $12,000 savings overall between personnel and food costs. That's what was in that sheet.
That's her.
It's me, yeah.
This is so
Yeah,
confusing.
yeah. I'm not 6 feet near anybody, so I'll
Yeah.
just take this off to make it clear. Yeah, so I went through that sheet, the workup that Lisa and Linda and everything were for the new proposal for the meal program. It looked like overall between decreasing staff
Exactly.
and, then saving on the cost of the meals, the Gershon's deal, et cetera, it looked like a net gain to us of about $12,000.
Without a doubt. But the actual number for the meal line, she included personnel and
Yeah,
should have been just food.
I
So-
did send you the breakdown, Ismat and Janet, I sent you that, but did that make sense to you, or you may have not even had a chance to look at it, but,
I actually just looked at the bottom line, like the 12,000, and that was a big thing for us, especially in the budget.
But we said we were gonna have to make some changes
Without
to
a
the
doubt.
personnel line and then meal cost line, but in total, it was gonna be, net savings about $12,000.
Yes,
So after that, tomorrow we can look at that.
without a doubt.
All the changes, we noted that we are going to make all these changes in the prelim budget.
Exactly, yep. Okay, and, hold on one second. And field trips went down from 8,000 to 6,000, just because that's a more realistic number. And adult recreation stayed the same this year. Does anybody have any questions?
So just on the fireworks display, we left that flat because I wasn't sure what was gonna happen. I'm assuming we're gonna have them next year,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you guys had negotiated a much less expensive option, right, that we were gonna get in 2019. Remember, we were at like 7,000 at some point, and you had negotiated, which is when we went down to the 5,500.
That's a firework?
Yeah, they found
Yeah.
they found a different vendor.
Assume it'll stay somewhere in that area?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
we
we had
s-
got it down. from-
Yeah, it was a different
I don't know.
vendor.
We switched vendors.
Yeah.
No, it is a final number.
Yeah,
And-
Yes.
And we
That should
increased the
stay flat.
farmer's market based on the signage expenses this year, but that's gonna should be offset by a revenue.
yeah, it'll be offset by revenue, and we're also looking into repurposing our
Yes.
signage from last year, so that vinyl.
We've
You
been
can-
picking them up, right,
Yeah.
Lori?
Right. Well, that's what we have with our fall fun run. They
Yeah.
just give us a sticker to go over. and
Yeah.
it's Pennies.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what we're thinking we're
Yeah.
gonna do. It should save us
Yeah.
at least $500.
Okay. You have increased your revenue a little bit too.
No pressure again.
No.
Register, we can take $500 away from there.
So other than employee expense and stuff like that, your portion of the budget has remained flat,
Flat or down?
flat,
Yeah,
or
I
down?
think I saved like $16,000 by
Yeah.
shaving off different
I,
costs.
I have to say that Laurie has been really, really good. I mean, she has really helped the town. She looked at every single expense and compared it to the last 2 years, taking out this weird year due to COVID. And her numbers are solid. Thank you, Laurie.
Thank you.
I treated
We're
it
gonna
like
be
it was my
needing
checkbook.
other department heads to do the same.
I'll see what I can do.
Ray's equally good.
And we're talking about revenue too. We're going to be pursuing some additional potential revenue sources as well.
Right,
So
exactly.
More to come, even
Right.
more, Lori.
Yeah, that should be exciting.
Exactly.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you. We all set?
Thanks, Lori.
All right,
Thanks,
thank
Lauren.
you. Warmed them up for you, Ray.
Okay.
Ray, you want to start with your expenses?
We can if you want.
However you want to do it.
It doesn't matter.
This has some updated figures.
Oh,
I don't know if you want it or not.
that's the new one she sent out.
That's right. Yes, I emailed it to you. It's the same.
So you want to start on buildings? Is that-
Yeah, because I already went over the revenue last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shared services.
Okay. So, as before, like the salaries and stuff, the personnel services, I've really had nothing to do with in the past, so,
Mhm.
um,
You're not recommending hiring an additional people or shifting people to different areas?
no, I think we're staying pretty flat where we are. We made the transition with, a helper for Charlie last year. We feel that that's doing good. So no, I'm not in buildings, nothing.
Okay.
So pretty much every line item here, I didn't ask for any increases in anything, so I tried to leave it flat again this year. And still provide the same amount of services for the residents. So, equipment capital outlay is the same. There's a slight increase in heating fuel. And I think that is
I did that.
done
That's I did.
through Janet and them. They have all the actuals. Never had to been involved in it.
So, let's go back to equipment and capital outlay. In 18, the number was very large at 55. 19, we went to 7,700. The budget for 2020 was 17,5, and we're at 17,5 again.
Mhm.
So is that a catch-all category, or is there certain equipment in that category?
Not specifically, we're doing a lot of upgrades around here. We do have our parts of the contracts which were approved that we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain part of the door lock systems, there's certain part of the air purifiers, so this will cover that.
Okay.
We have shifted more with the way we purchase things now with the threshold. That we're spending, a lot of our smalls are coming out of miscellaneous lines instead of capital. So the larger items are now your capital outlays, your 2,500 and above, right?
Anything that falls under the fixed asset policy goes to the 2,000 lines now.
So that's the practice we've been doing for the last year and a half is the fixed asset policy, where if it's under 2,500, we use it out of miscellaneous. That's just the way it falls,
Just
so.
our auditors recommended that.
Okay.
You okay with that, Bill?
Yep.
Electricity is up, but that's by their,
Yeah.
they have the billing, so they know where that's at.
Yeah,
Everything else has stayed the same.
yeah. So once again, the salaries for all the department, they reflect the steps and the contractual increases. But in race area, that you will see that some of the salary lines have decreased because three of your top earners retired this year, right? And they are replaced at the bottom. So the difference of the salaries, you will see some of the lines are actually going down, actually.
Highway admin, once again, personal services, I had nothing to do with. Equipment capital outlay is the same. And the rest are all the same. All right.
Yep.
Highway garage. See a small increase in heating oil or electricity, I'm sorry. And other than that, everything remained the same.
Where were we talking about decreasing the phone? Do you remember that, Ismet, in the budget hearing, you were talking about cell phones and going back to walkie-talkies?
I think that still has to be discussed and resolved.
That's
Okay.
for
because
the
there's-
global.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
those are the bits we talked about.
all right. thanks.
There's language involved in that has to be developed to
Yes.
accommodate that. So
Okay.
as of right now, it's business as usual.
Okay, because I
believe, right?
expected to see a decrease there because of that. Okay,
It will be later on,
okay, thank you,
next year, yeah.
thank you.
Sidewalks and pedestrians. All the numbers remain the same. Town parks. Salary adjustments are contractual, I believe.
Mhm.
Seasonal labor is the same. Overtime, 1,400. I had asked for a slight increase in this due to, we're doing town hall now, that staff would be doing town hall. That's something that we hadn't undertaken. And with the demand of having to have the lot done for the police and everything, I feel, that probably should be bumped up some.
It has been, I'm sorry, it has been, it's in the 1620, because that gets paid for out of the building's overtime line,
Oh, okay. All right, so it wasn't. Okay,
only by $1,080, but, you know.
well,
it's
something,
we
so
can look
I
at.
just know it's gonna be,
Yeah.
we'll rather, to try to be straight up forward, rather than be over, have to move.
It is over that. So let's see how this year goes. So this is going to be the base year, and then we can adjust.
Well, I
I mean-
mean, we go to the services line, the first line there, it's full-time. In 2019, it was 366, then we went to 329, and now we're back to 376.
I don't know what happened in 2020, but right now we are where we should be. Because we have looked at every single individual.
And this is you're sort of working off of actuals from 2020 and projecting that out?
We're actually looking, we actually
Yeah.
pulled every
Yes.
employee out of the system,
Mhm.
cross-matched them to their department, their allocation, and what their salary would be for next year, because.
They
the
found
only
some
way we know how
mistakes.
to do it is really to look at each individual person.
So I think what happened in 2020, they were, I think, highway and certain other departments, I think the assumption was made that people will retire, and they were not backfilled. People didn't retire because if they said we will retire and didn't do it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at it before, so you got an entry level, which is a lower rate of pay. Contractually with the union, we have the right to bring them up if needed, say for a wing seat or whatever. So we just pay them that hourly. Previously, they felt that it's a better bargain to kind of overload the bottom and use them as needed. Financially, it made better sense that way for, vacations and stuff like that. You pay them at the lower rate.
Mhm.
So, I think because we were anticipating retirees last year, that kind of held out till the end of the year.
Right.
So we were stacked on the bottom with anticipation of filling upward.
Mhm.
But they retired late in the year rather than early in the year. So we were kind of heavy on the bottom for that period of time.
Okay.
Overtime.
So let's go down to storm sewers. I mean, everything else in that line all looks pretty, in that category, looks pretty similar, but down here at storm sewers, again, to the personal services, so I'll just ask you that, we were at 29, 17, 28, now 103. So that's pretty significant.
That would be,
That's
that's
actually.
two different departments. So that would be
Are we taking that from somewhere else? Am I going to see a minus somewhere else?
Like, it's the reallocation, remember we talked about last time? So
Mhm.
this is Josh
Josh Hawley,
and Vinny
Vinny Daly.
Daly.
No, Vinny Daly wasn't in storm sewer. Josh Hawley was allocated simply 1535.50 as a water and sewer maintenance worker across sewer and water. And he actually oversees the storm sewers. So we reallocated him this year and had to adjust this year's budget accordingly as well as next year's.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
And
I just point out to me where that minus is when we get there.
okay, it's in sewer 1, sewer 6, and water 1.
We're not doing that tonight.
Okay, when we get there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that's what we said last time, that we will try to look at the reallocation. Because
Mhm.
it's a little bit different.
And we didn't go over it, but it looks like there's some significant decreases in under parks and other lines, like, for equipment, capital outlay, a number of them are decreased. So just want that noted as well.
Where are we looking?
I'm looking at, I'm just noting that like equipment line 2000 and capital outlay, from 19 to where we are just, looks like there's been some reallocation there because there were larger numbers that are much smaller for the 2021 budget.
And I don't know what happened in 2019. We will look at that. Seemed like it was a grant or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It
What-
just looks like there's a few numbers that are
Yeah.
significantly smaller for the 2021.
Right, definitely the River Road part was a grant.
There's a capital outlay,
That one,
that
yeah,
2150, right?
in 19, we started doing in-house funding on some things, and that's what you're seeing.
Yeah, no, it's a positive. I wonder, imagine there's an explanation.
That's right. These are just grants. Exactly. Thank you.
Mhm.
So we are now back to, that's gone. Now we are back to what our norm is.
So storm sewers, the highway capital outlay went from 2,200 to 0. I don't know how that came about. That was something that I asked to
Because you're talking about the equipment, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because there hasn't been any utilization on that line.
Is that why?
Yeah, because if you
Zero.
see, yeah.
Use it or lose it? Is that what you're telling me?
No, but you haven't used it,
I'm just
right?
saying, right.
So look at 18 and 19, it wasn't used. If you need it, then tell it, why do you need it?
Well, you just
It's just there.
asked for it to stay flat, and now it's gone, so I'm only asking why. Okay. Anything else? Looks like training went up, but this is a split
This, yes,
thing, so I really, this would probably, my part of it really is the same.
Yes, you're talking about the storm sewers, right?
Well,
The storm sewers?
Yeah.
The only thing that I have taken out is the engineering services at 4520 for 10,000. I talked to Matt Chiaro. He's going to do the study this year. We have fund this year. We budgeted 10,000 in 2020. He's going to use that. So he said there's no need to schedule it, budget it for next year. This is the engineering study for the street that gets flooded.
The one on Plum we're talking about? And the corner of like Myron and,
I believe that that's what he had said when we met,
That's-
that he had
Yeah.
some monies, yeah.
That's the one, right?
yeah, and I think you were carrying it on your, so now it's been, is it going to show up on his budget to be taken care of under that line?
He's going to
He's
spend
gonna
it
do a
this year.
study of it.
Right.
He's not taking care of the whole thing.
No, well,
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking, sounds like the money's like it normally would be listed here and it's been moved somewhere else. Is that what happened? Just trying to understand.
No,
I wasn't following.
It has been taken out, so do we, I don't know the scope of what it needs to be done. Is
Right.
it going to be through bonding? How much money are we talking
So-
about?
So
So-
that portion of Matt's part
Mhm.
is to get an engineering firm in to give us a price and recommend to us what improvements can be made at that point in time. So that part is really going to be for your assessment of the project. Once
And this
we
is
get-
something that should have been done all along. Ray was advocating for it, Rich didn't get to it, now Matt has taken it over and he is getting it done. It's been done piecemeal in that interim while Ray was advocating for this. He was going over, trying to make it work, fixing it, but now Matt is going to just take over doing that engineering study that we have asked for 10 years at
At
least.
least, yeah.
And he's going to take that piece over and then we will determine how much money it costs. And if something has, I mean, it's likely a bonded project. It's a big project.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
so this money will help cover the proposal for the work to be done, and then we'll all have to sit down and decide our best options and funding for that project.
Understood. All right, thanks.
This budget isn't going to cover the work. that-
No, understood.
Shade trees, it looks like replacement trees went up 500.
Well, we're taking 9,500 out of there, and that was brought up before. Is that a good idea?
So there's a big drop in the miscellaneous, and I would err to caution on this. I know you're probably going by what we spent and all
Right.
that, but the miscellaneous is with what's going on with the silver maples in the old section of town, how they're breaking, how they're rotting, how we're taking more down than we've ever historically taken down. The miscellaneous account is what gives us the ability to hire a contractor to take down a tree that is too big for our equipment that we have. We have a couple really good vendors that we always get 3 quotes at least,
How
and
much did that tree on Ray Street cost?
it's gone,
I know, how much did it cost?
nothing.
National Grid took
Reached
care of
out
that
to
one.
National Grid took care of it?
Yeah.
Yep.
We got lucky there, though.
It just took a little probe. I forget what price they told me it was.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Like $4,000
Wow.
for their tree guy to take it down?
Yeah.
What kind of a tree was it? Must be.
Huge.
Huge, it was a huge tree,
Very big, probably 40
easily.
odd inches at the base. Big.
So, okay, so we were just looking at the last 5-year actuals. So I don't know whether
So-
something,
The only reason I'm airing caution is
Yeah.
if we have to have a company come in.
Mhm.
This storm the other day could have been a lot worse than it was. If we were overwhelmed or we had town trees on people's houses or whatever, this is where we go to get them removed without a lapse in time or, coming to the board. We can take action and move forward and do that. It's not so much, it's kind of an insurance policy for us per se. If we don't use it, you get the money back, but if we need to, it's there. And we're finding more and more that the silver maples are deteriorating very heavily. So,
Okay, so if, again, what would you recommend for that line?
well, I mean, $5,000 could be the cost of one tree. In real sense, if you had a hazard or something that, you know, I would say split the difference. I mean, it was 15, you took 10, make it 7, or, I mean, we can always do,
We will put a note for the prelim budget. And
and
again,
that's totally up to you. I mean, I'll work with what you give me, but it's just a recommendation.
thank you.
You don't hear from me ask for these things because I had the funds available to just do them and be done. So that's all I'm saying, and it's up to you. General repairs, personal services went up. I'm sure that's contractual.
Yep.
Overtime is probably done off the data that we've had put before us.
Yeah.
Everything else has stayed the same.
Mhm.
Permanent improvements, down.
Yes,
This is generally, the personnel services, I'm sure has to do with the retirees, because
Exactly.
that's where these people were
Yeah.
identified in this line.
you got it.
Temporary, labor is the same. It's like everything else is the same. This page. Small increase in diesel generated from the controller's office. Same in fuel. Decrease in paving.
Yeah, let's
And-
talk about that, because did you you were a little behind on paving from, what was it, 18 or 19 into 20?
Yeah.
And how are you making out with that? Are we getting,
We're doing good, and I did talk to Ismat this morning on how we came about, because I traditionally always ask for more money in paving. The price of it never goes down, so you always get more. I did pull my last few years spreadsheets, and we were under the 580. So our expenditure was down, but not due to the amount of work we did. But if you remember, we received very large grants. The Mayfair section, I think that was Phil Steck, right?
Yep.
Gave us 125,000 for the Mayfair section. So in actual paving, we did well beyond 580.
per mile, so to speak, you did same
Right,
amount
so
or
our
more
miles
miles?
were up, but our actual contributions from the taxpayers were down because we took advantage of the money that we were given. So we actually got more product on the road and conserved our budget. So this year, at the beginning of the year, we had a bond expire that was going back into fund balance. Well, we had set up for a really aggressive year paving, 32 roads for the year. COVID gave us a hit. We got a late start. We got a great majority of the roads done. But once again, we had bonded money that I had asked for last year for 2 specific projects, one being Lock 7 and one being Knott Street East. Knott Street East was put on hold due to the construction up there. Lock 7 was late in the season due to the work at the canal. Once again, this is money outside of our paving. So realistically, we've done really well. And along with all the money we got to pave the bike path, the multimodal paving, we did a tremendous amount of paving and did not actually use our full budget. So that's all in the positive. So, and we do have, so even at 530, you still have 200 in bonding to use next year for the Knott Street pad project. So you're still paving, 550 plus you know, the 200,000 for the Knott Street project. So you're gonna do tremendous amount of paving again next year. So if this has to go down a little bit for a year, I get it. We have the money. We're gonna do as much, if not more, for the residents than we have been doing. So I feel that that's fair, as long as it isn't a permanent. But we can always go way back and look, so.
Okay.
And everything else was the same there. Machinery, personal services, same thing. Overtime is down, I'm sure by actuals. Everything else is the same as requested. Snow removal. Personal services are down. Overtime stayed the same. I see salt went down a little bit, 10 grand. We had thought to bump that up a few years back because of the amount that we use. So I'm not sure where we're gonna be at.
There was a problem getting it at one point too,
There was
right?
a problem getting it, so you had to buy, you know, when you could get it. We didn't run into that last year. I was going over some numbers. There's gonna be a slight increase in what we pay for salt this year. Could be up to $1 a ton. One good thing about this in asphalt is, with the economy the way it is right now, we're taking benefits from the de-escalation clauses, which both these contracts have, both asphalt and salt. So we're getting more for our money because of the de-escalation. There was a time when fuel costs were involved for delivery. It could go either way. You don't know what's going to happen, but as of right now, we're taking advantage of the de-escalation and gives us more product for our money. Miscellaneous contractuals down in that from last year. I don't know.
Based upon the actual,
Huh?
based upon the actuals.
Okay, so one thing I did ask, we never had a say in previous years over miscellaneous contractual.
Sure, tell me.
One thing I did bring up to you, all our COVID stuff is being bought out of miscellaneous contractual. All of our contractual obligations to our employees, boots, clothing, T-shirts every year, that's all taken out of miscellaneous contractual. Like I say, I've never had access or input to miscellaneous contractual in the past. I track it because I always hold enough to make sure that my obligations are fulfilled to. But with the purchasing procedure, with not using the capital outlay and having to rely more on our miscellaneous for small purchases. I mean, that could be anything from tools for our crews, blacktop rakes, shovels, brooms. That all comes out of there. So I just, once again, I mean, if it's not there, it's not there, but I would err on the caution of,
Let me look at that.
winter account is only for, a number of months. We rely heavily on our summer accounts, but still, miscellaneous contractual can be the difference of, $5,000 worth of salt if I need to move it or whatnot. So it's important to have these because they are funding our everyday things.
I will note it for the field and we'll I'll present all the changes to the council and supervisor and make a decision.
I get it. I'm just saying what I do.
No, I'm glad you're saying that. Say what you need to say.
I'll get it from you one way or another, so you can put it in.
He
there.
knows me too well, but
Mhm.
I know that.
And I think that's it for me. Did I miss something?
No, no.
Well, one thing, I do have another question for you while you're here, because I believe that there was a proposal in the budget to increase the yard waste collection fee. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, how did you make out with that? I know when COVID started at the beginning of the year, you were using your own employees rather than having outside
Still to date,
people.
we
And
are.
you're still doing that today. How did that work out for you?
Very restraining on the workforce. So like now with loose brush picked up. So that's a third truck. So that's, although we're not on schedule, we try to be very there the day that the people
Well, I know,
expect.
now with the
People
storm,
don't pay attention to schedules. They just know that the guy in the garbage truck comes on Monday and when they live there. So we try to do our best to do that. But so every week, that's 2 guys on the back of each truck and a driver. So that's 6 people out of the workforce. That's 6 people out of a milling crew. That's 6 people out of a patch crew. So what we've had to do this year is chase vehicles, obviously, because we couldn't all be that close in a truck. Very time consuming. Very. You know, you park a truck in a neighborhood, you hop on the truck, you do that neighborhood, you move, you go to the dump, the 1 ton is following you.
slows your way down.
It blows my mind, trust me. It's about against everything that I've ever strived for, but it does take them people out. So what we've been forced to is what we do is, you know, we have 1 major crew. So if milling's out, we only have a trickle down effect of only a few people to put together maybe a hot box that only takes 2 people, maybe the sign guy with a helper. So what it took away is that second large crew, that big patch crew, that big. So we're either doing one or the other. And that's what the loss of them people to keep up with yard waste has done for us. You struggle. I mean, we've kept on track pretty good, but we've really had to pick and choose one or the other.
And so you're still going to continue that process through the fall?
I believe we are. I don't believe any of my people, I'm not comfortable enough to bring outsiders in on a daily basis. They have the ability to send a different person every day. So I don't think any one of us would want to be put in that situation, and I surely don't want to put my people in.
No, I respect that. And have we looked at any of those numbers yet and there a budget effect for that?
Well, you banked all the money you had for temp labor.
Yeah, right.
You know, so you got.
Then we
80
used our own, so we don't
80 some
know.
odd thousand that we didn't touch this year for labor, but it really affects just our ability to, you know, accomplish our planned work for the year and then just our daily resident request.
Mhm.
So it's a juggling act. We've been doing okay, but it is a challenge.
Okay, thank you.
And the increase in yard waste, I had nothing to do with. I don't even know what's proposed.
No, I wouldn't never accuse you of that or know that you don't have anything to do with that.
I do know that, you know, that no matter what the increase or the fee is, it doesn't cover the operation of what's done, regardless of how we do it. It's just kind of a subsidy.
Well,
It helps fund it. It doesn't never. would fund
exactly.
it.
You know, you have a storm like we had last week and now there's a lot more material that's got to be picked up and a lot more material takes a lot more time.
It does.
Long-term, though, we have, you know, you anticipate going back to temp labor
I do,
Yeah.
someday.
because.
Either that or, you know, depending on how long this stuff lasts with social distance, maybe we hire seasonals
Mhm.
in place of, you know, that was something we would have to talk to the union about, but maybe we just hire seasonals that only do that.
Makes sense.
and that's their understanding, you know. I think the city uses temp
I
labor,
was about to say, yeah.
a seasonal.
The city use, I mean, the city use seasonal all the time. So basically, you don't have to pay them benefits, they're not on your head count, and the city did better. But in regard to that, I have to say, and I never say anything nice to you, but I'm saying that Ray has managed his budget and his operations really, really well. And I found that out within 5 weeks. You run a very nice and tight ship, you really do.
Thank you.
So
I'm
congratulations.
cheap with your money.
No, you're expensive with with my money, but you have done a great job. You have a few minutes, you want to talk about your capital project needs?
We can if you want. I mean, I submitted a capital projects list. I think that's just kind of been tradition that we do it every year. Try to tell you at the beginning of the year our needs. I know we've gotten creative with some in-house paying for stuff. So
Over here, this is like.
do you have one, Bill, or no?
Was that another sheet? Was that from
It's
last?
the sheet from the other day.
That's the same sheet. I can give you mine.
That's okay.
No, it's all right. I'll find it. I got it here.
Sure.
I got lots of paper here.
It's quick. There's not a lot on there, so.
Do you want one?
No, I just want you to go over it.
I got it right here. Might as well give me your new one, if we got one.
Thank you.
I made copies. Okay, sure. Up till 6, buddy.
So just, this is what it is. This is just my traditional list with the items that we would like to replace, typical breakdown of why we're replacing or asking for a truck to fill that gap. So
Ray, do you track your expenses? I know you do your own internal repairs on a lot of these things. Do you track hours and expenses per vehicle? And then do you have an idea? I know a lot of these will hit the resale of, value in terms of resale.
yeah, so
Talked about it today.
I know we've talked about it briefly a lot earlier, but since you've been here about a turnover of vehicles and their values of what they're worth with not so many miles in good shape. So you got a couple options. You can run them in the ground and get basically nothing at the end of their life. Towards the end, they're being trustworthy of being able to go out and do their job gets lower. So, there's a couple ways of doing it. So I just gave Ismat this morning the results of the Auctions International for all the stuff that I surplused the month before last. And I showed her the difference. We had a truck in there that the motor was bad. So we did get 4,800 for it. But reality, when I asked for a truck, probably the value of that was at least 16,000. We've gotten anywhere from 16 to 30,000 for our used trucks in decent shape. So this truck wasn't in decent shape, and we got 4,800. They're 200 to replace. So you're not even. It depends which way you want to go. You can midstream them. I can track them all day long, what I put into them. Every truck is different, just like every person is different. Every truck has kind of its own personality, whether it just has a quirk in it and it doesn't work right, or
Right.
it has the.
This is why I asked actually during the interviews, remember I asked about fleet management and your experience with that during the comptroller interviews, because it's an issue. They do a lot of their repairs internally, but it's just, there's no, it'd be nice to have that in place where he didn't have to, we're all tracking, not just these vehicles, but all our
Every,
vehicles.
for the whole,
Right.
and actually we talked about it this morning. So he sold old trucks, depending upon their condition, almost like 15,000. That's a pretty good of chunk of change. So, I mean, if we can put the whole city fleet next year, I mean, I need some time to put that on. So every 5 years, we are renewing them and selling it to the third party.
Right, and I know it's another project, right, to sort of.
But that's
go back
one of
and
the
check.
important things we need to
It
do
is important
next year.
to know when the break-even point is, more or less.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, he's basically selling enough to be able to pay half of a new truck next year, kind of.
I did put on here recreation, the bus, replacing the bus. Although the bus is a 2015, it's been in a few accidents, been in the paper a few times.
It was not the fault of our driver,
I did not say that. I just
I
said
did,
it
I'm
got
making
some
that point.
notoriety around town.
not the
so.
fault of the driver.
But it is getting rusty underneath, and it is, that's something that just needs to be. We went and picked the seniors up a few times in our rack truck last year over to Walmart. They liked it, but it's probably not ideal.
Well, aren't they looking at a smaller van?
Right. And what the smaller one is gonna alleviate is a daily driving of the big bus, but you still gotta look at the big bus.
Mhm.
So if you had two fairly new vehicles and you separated and used the little one when you had to run people to the doctor, or you only had 2 or 3 come into the center, I think it's money well spent. It's safe for the residents, and it's just something that, you can't really kick that can down the road. The rec center's being used a lot. I think, dependability of getting them there and back safe is big. I think everybody supports that. So just like I say, it's a recommendation, because we work on the bus. We deal with the bus, so.
You know what, it might help sometimes when you do this, and if you can just put a minus on here of what you might be trading in, right? Like the bus, okay, the bus is easy, right? You could probably get a value for the bus that we have now, right? So then it would give us a little bit of a net figure, and maybe even some of the other ones.
That's
No, you
what I
don't
was.
know that, and nobody's going to hold you to that.
Thank God.
No, but a little bit of a conservative approach, obviously, but a little bit of minus of, okay, but I feel
Estimated.
estimated, we do that, they do that with the police cars and, just so we have a general idea, a little bit of an idea.
That's along the lines of what I was suggesting. I think it'd be a great idea.
All right, we'll do so in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Ray.
Ray.
Thank you, Ray. Good job.
Excellent.
These guys did really well.
Yeah, right on the dot, 6 p.m.
I have no idea who's talking right now.
Yasmin.
Yes.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.